What do you remember? I want you to take me through the race, heading into that race. You'd already won the 800.
Right.
So what's your mindset going into this race at the start?
So the 1500 2 years ago was it was a bonus race for me. I was all focused on the 800. So I wanted, because there's that rivalry between Robbie Andrews and I, and there's a lot of pressure there. So if I could pull that one off, that would have been my victory, and I did. So going into the 15, it was like, all right, this is the bonus race. If it happens, it happens. If not, it's not the end of the world. And so first 200 meters, we're out, and immediately we're down to just a jog. And I was licking my chops after that. I was like, this is perfect. I couldn't have asked for a better setup. I'm exhausted from the last 3 days. They're going slow. This is going to be a 500-600 meter race, and that's exactly what happened. I sat along, I trotted along at 66 pace. It was like 2:12 at the 800, slower than the women's race, and right at 600 meters, it picked up, and I was ready for it. And I didn't know AJ's strategy. I didn't know Matthew's strategy. I didn't know anyone's plans. I just had my own. And coming down to the last 200, I was back, but I wasn't far behind, and the goal was to kind of try and get to the lead going to the last 100, and use the crowd to kind of help lift me up. And that's exactly what happened. I swung wide, came off the turn, and I was sitting in the front, and I saw Matthew off my shoulder in front of me, and I didn't even know AJ was over my shoulder. And as we come up to the finish line, I mean, the crowd's erupting. I'm excited. And then if the race had been maybe 10 meters longer, I would have gone from first to fifth. And I'd put all my energy into like that last 200 meters, and I can't believe it. It all just kind of came together. And again, like I said, AJ and Centrowitz I didn't know their plans, but they had the same kind of ideas, like get to have the front and the lead with 70 meters to go. And we all just kind of came around at the same time, and our strategies all just kind of came together at the same moment. And it was like, at that point, I didn't care if I was first or third. A duck was going to win it, and that's all that really mattered.
So you were aware of Matt on your left.
Mm-hmm.
At what point did you realize that the sweep was going to happen? Was there a point at all, or did you not know until you had crossed the finish line that AJ came in second?
I had no idea. I mean, I was told, don't look at the screen and just grit your teeth and run the last 50 meters and then look at the screen. And so, I couldn't help it. I got to the finish line, maybe a step before the finish, I kind of peeked up real quick, and I saw 3 yellow blips, and I was like, did we really just go 1, 2, 3? And it just blew my mind. And then when I saw the names pop up and confirm it, I was like, we just created a moment in history, and I did it with 2 of my great friends. I couldn't have asked for anything better.
What did it mean to you that, kind of for your collegiate career, and that's a signature moment of your career for sure? Yeah, and I think that will be, like you said, a signature moment. It's great to win a race. I love winning. It's a good thing. It's a good feeling. But to share a winning moment with 2 of your greatest friends, it just becomes that much better. And whether I was first or third, there's the conference meet a year ago, I think, where Galen Rupp was in the race, and it was Centrowitz, myself, and Rupp, and Centro won, Galen was second, I was third. I didn't care. I didn't mind that I didn't win. I was just sharing the moment with 2 of my teammates that made it so much warmer, and that's exactly what that was. Crossing the finish line, 1, 2, 3, 3 ducks with X thousand fans watching and just supporting the Duck Nation. It was just, we could have been any 1, 2, 3 variety, but as long as there's 3 ducks, it's just such a warm feeling. You mentioned that it went out really slow. Who dictates something like that? I mean, at that point, you'd have to be considered one of kind of the leaders. Does it just kind of happen as a group, or is there 1 or 2 runners who are able to dictate in a race like that?
Yeah, pace in a race is kind of based on who gets to the front in the first 100 meters. And usually the first 100, if it's going to be slow, is going to be one of your faster moments of the race. So the first 100 and the last 200-300 meters are going to be the fastest. And sure enough, the first 100 went quick, and one guy got to the front, and when he's up there, he can choose to push the pace and risk not having enough left in his legs for the finish, or he can slow it down and then gamble on his strength being stronger than the rest of the field. And for me, my goal was to just let anyone else take the pace. And so when he fired the gun, I think I waited probably a whole second before I left the line. It was just bang, everybody left, and then I decided to go along because I wanted to sit in the back. I wanted to feel out the pace. If it was going to be fast, I had a strategy for that. If it was going to be slow, which it was, I was ready for that too. And I just sat and chugged along until someone decided to make a move, because my signature kick comes from about 250 out, and 100 is just even stronger. So if you're going to push it or not push it, if you're going to keep it slow, you got to know that they're like everyone else in the race can run a 26-second last 200, and it's just where you decide to start kicking from makes a big.
So where'd you start your kick in that race?
I started my kick probably at about 150 meters away from the finish line, and I was kind of just coasting off the guys who were pushing the pace, and then I decided to like use my strength a bit, and I pushed to the front. And I kind of slingshot around the turn and coast right into like the top position.
You can tell, on the broadcast, you can tell how loud this place was.
Yeah.
I think for track, that's pretty. We're used to watching football games in Autzen, and you see the crowd, and you can tell how nuts it is. But even just from a TV broadcast, it was wild. As you're running, as you're coming down this stretch, how much do you notice that? How much did you notice it in that race? What did that do to you?
Oh man, it was huge. It was unbelievable. So for me, nothing's going to top 2008 at the trials. That's going to be my all-time moment. But the 1500 at NCAAs that year was by far easily my second favorite moment, because when we swung into those 1, 2, 3 positions and we had maybe 50 meters to go and AJ was squeaking up into third place and then up to second, I just felt the crowd. And the last thing I want to do when I kind of notice the crowd is let them down. So I just start going, and I feel this like surge of adrenaline. Like I've got all these fans, all these track nuts who are just like excited to see something happen, and then I start believing something amazing is going to happen, and then before I know it, I've crossed the line and something amazing actually did happen.
You mentioned, I think earlier, a half second. It gives you a half second if you're a duck. You always talk about the Hayward magic and what it's like to race here. Is that, have you figured that out as the quantification of it? Is a half a second? And how do you do that?
I would gamble it's about a half a second, just because I would think the last 100 is always the hardest part for people, and I've raced in several different locations, and I haven't gotten the same kind of lift. When you know there are people in the crowd who are cheering for you, especially when it's a large amount, you kind of feel that vibe from them, and so I would gamble it's a half second, because I definitely probably would have started going backwards after like 50 meters to go. Probably would have started to limp a little bit, but. And not only just the 1500 meter final, like just the rounds, the 800s before that, you could feel the crowd. They wanted you to succeed, and on a lot of different levels. I was so very appreciative of it.
That was your last collegiate race, right? Is there no better way to go out, I imagine?
Yeah. Oh man. They say that. The trials and it's like a rock show. I would say if that's the case, then the NCAAs is kind of the pregame show, the opening band. It just starts to warm up this summer for some great meets that are about to happen. And so NCAAs that year was just one of many big meets to come. And I think for my collegiate season to go out on that, it's going out on a bang. It's absolutely the case.